The Marino Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm David Marino, your host, and I'm here with Michael Faust, the general manager of House of Torment. Yes, we are back at House of Torment, this time for Love Bites, but wanted to talk to you a little about the fact that this is your 20th year with House of Torment just being active. Can you talk about just what it means to you to be a part of this organization?
Yeah, for me, it's been like a homecoming last year, and now it's more of a showing like it's getting the band back together. You know, I always tell everybody, I've been telling everybody it's time to come home. So I'm reaching out to past actors, past, performers, and trying to get them to come back because it is our 20th anniversary. And with that, we're trying to get bigger and better, and scarier. And you always go to what you know, when it comes to that. And it's not that like it eventually people just grow out of it, and they go out. So now to get them to come back and perform, like everybody, you always get that itch when you're, a haunt performer, and that's what's happening. But for me, it's getting that, it's having fun with my friends again. It's being able to say like, man, for 20 years we scared Austin. We kept Austin scary for 20 years. And and we don't see it stopping anytime soon. And
really, House of Torment has become an icon in this area. And I know that not only do you do the Halloween show, which we have covered, and then Krampus, which obviously I went to, which was a lot of fun. What can you say about Love Bites, and how is that a little different from the two previous that you do with the...
Well, with Love Bites, it's more of we try to make it more of an intimate, interactive performance for customers. Like for this year, customers had a heart and they go through and they got to hold on to it. They're familiars. We try to adapt a storyline that we come over and intertwine it like for previous years, to have it continuous. And so it's more of a interactive when customers go through. The characters talk to them. They have more time to check out the scenery and look around and get scared in a different way, and it's more of a, hey, let your guard down a little bit, have some fun, and then we hit them hard. So it's different than Krampus tour. Krampus is more like spooky, fun, Christmassy, what is it, boo humbug type of scare. To where this, it's Halloween is the idea of it. Valentine's, Halloween, and it's just like I said, just more interactive, more intimate with, and it's like we try to get it to where it's couples. We try to get it, if we can, to where it's just a couple going through, if that's how they want it, or we put them in a group.
Now, you've been with House of Torment for a long time. When did you start again? And, what has been kind of over the years, what you've seen it grown to from what it started from?
House of Torment started in 2003 professionally. And in 2005, I came on board with my brother. And it was just always a lot of fun. Like, I'd always thought that haunted houses were more of like carny, like they come into town, set up a circus and leave. And that wasn't it at all. And we got to the point, we were at Highland Mall, and we got to the point to where we could stay there and lease it year round and build and build. And that's how you grow a haunted house, like as far as customer base. But how you grow a team and a family, so to speak, is just nurturing and teaching and going on with them, bringing them into your life with your, and becoming friends. But when it's go time and show time, that's when it's work. That's when you're a team. And like I said, for me, it's cool that we've lasted this long. Haunted houses have come and gone, and we've still are Austin's only haunted house. So even to be able to put on a Valentine's event, for me, it's always, and us, it's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't we do that for Austin? Let's do that. Let's, we're constantly thinking, what else can we do? What other event can we do? So.
And what I love about it is it really is a full-on production. You have the makeup, you have the costumes, and you have all the props, which we've talked about that before, how you get a hold of some of those props from other places. And a lot of the people that do work for House of Torment have done so for many years. And they also kind of all know each other in the creative community. So with this year being the 20th, you've talked about, it being kind of a reunion for some of those older people who used to work here. What are you hoping for as we head through the rest of the year, especially for your big Halloween event? Because I know this year you're trying to change things up, and even for the Christmas event as well. Yeah. Is there a little taste of what we can expect? Can you give us any sort of hints on that?
So if you came to last year, you saw familiar characters like Nemesis, our big robot, or Hellion, our big, winged character. You saw Sergeant Graves, who was very much an original character.
Yeah,
that was
like
here.
a legacy
Yeah,
character.
yeah. And so the only other legacy character that was here that everybody knows is Mr. Creep, and that's like, that was our guy. When you saw him, like 6 feet, 7 feet tall, top hat, his laugh, his shriek. I'm trying to get him to come back. I've been looking for him everywhere. I've been trying to search through him online to see if I can get a hold of him, but we just can't find him. If we can find him, then yeah, like he's worth it. He's worth to have back. But he was a great character, great performer. But characters like that, newer characters that we've had a hand in growing outside, but more so just also like newer things to do. We had a secret bar last year. Well, I want to try to fit in 3 in each attraction. I want to do more stuff outside. I want where you come here, there's a destination spot and you want to stay and hang out. Our Brainy Street where the bar and the food is, hang out there and just watch everything happen. Watch people get scared and then go out and get scared yourself and just have fun.
What has this really done in terms for your life, or how has it changed it just being a part of House of Torment and meeting all these different creatives and people that are in the industry, whether it's haunted house or makeup or costume or actors and all of that?
For me, it made me realize that this is my career, and it's not scaring people. It's my career. Mm-hmm. It's investing in people. It's growing people. It's teaching. That's what I found out this, past couple of years, that I just love teaching people and working with them and encouraging them and showing them like I'll train actors to, scare this way or an encounter that happens outside. But it's like, well, don't get mad. You take that anger and do something else with it. Or don't just don't get mad, find a resolution about it. And so it's like, everything's a learning point. And that's what I like to do is teach not just like how to scare skills, but life skills is what I like to teach. Because that's what I've gotten out of all of this. I got how to be a better human being, how to operate, how to function in life. Because I used to be such an introvert, like little goth kid, and now here I am, just like have no problem doing interviews, which I love to do, and even being on, television, to where if you'd have told me that as a kid, there's no way. Yeah. But now it's like this has taught me how to come out of my shell. And because of that, I want to give that back to, my team that I see. Like I see myself in some of these kids where it's like, I want to teach you because nobody did that for me. So let me do that and give back. That's what you always want to do. You always want to leave something better than you found it. And that's what I want to do here. But I also don't want to go anywhere. So.
Awesome. And what would you tell people who maybe haven't come out to any of the House of Torment events? Because you do multiple events throughout the year. Sometimes people think it's just Halloween, but as we've mentioned, Christmas, you have, Valentine's Day, you're doing an event in May, right? Can you talk about that one? Yeah, that one, most likely the dates aren't set yet, and it's still a possibility. This is what we're trying to do, and it's halfway to Halloween. It's halfway to Halloween. It's a huge event that's starting to pick up mainstream attention now, and it's literally the halfway point in Halloween. And that's just, last year we weren't able to do it, but our other sister markets, the 13th floor, were able to do it. And it's just, hey, check out the haunted house one last time before we change everything and put in our new themes and characters. And so I hope we're able to do that again this year, or do it for the first time, because it'll be our first time. Well, Julian, how did you get associated with House of Torment?
So the way I got associated with House of Torment was I moved up from Houston back in 2016. I was working in an automotive repair shop, and I was just, thinking about, I want a second job, So I was just looking around, and I always had, an idea, like, what would it be like to work for a haunted house? And one day when I was on my lunch break, I was just scrolling through Facebook, and I saw an ad for the 2016 haunt season for House of Torment, and I was like, you know what? I'll click it out, see what happens. What's the worst? The next day, I got a call from the performance manager at the time, scheduling me for an interview. Came in that weekend, tried out. Honestly, that audition was probably one of the most embarrassing things I ever did. But after that, they called me back up. They said, you got the job. And I was like, oh, cool. I had no experience working in a haunted house either. So it was pretty interesting that they took someone that knows nothing about this industry and can literally mold you into a monster that they want you to act out. So it's pretty interesting how I got associated with it.
So it's now the 20th anniversary of House of Torment this year. What memories stick out to you when you think of just being a part of this whole production?
To be honest, some of the best memories wouldn't even be like part of the actual season as it's going on. I mean, you get a lot of good ones. Being a scare actor, you can, scare people, you can play out different things. But some of my best memories are like when we're getting ready for the season, like when we're doing all the rehearsals, when we're actually up here, helping out with distressing stuff or just practicing for that season, because we get to see like all of the new people that start after us, what we've learned from prior seasons and all kinds of it's great. And then we have such a big sense of like a family here that you become so close with each other that you're starting to teach each other certain things. You get these bonds, and it's a whirlwind thing. And one of the best memories, like I said, would definitely be prior to the season, like rehearsal times.
Yeah.
Because you get to play around, like you get to see everyone improvising, and it's a lot of fun to see like everything go from the beginning and to the end factor when the actual season starts.
Now, I love haunted houses, and I love being scared. I actually laugh through them, so I think it's fun. Like, I do like that whole feeling. What's like something that you remember about scaring somebody? Has anybody ever just like tried to punch you because they just freak out when they see you jump out?
So I've never actually been punched. I've been threatened before. That happens to anybody. To be honest, the closest I've ever actually got to being punched was during my first season. It was our first off-season event after the season called Blackout. So what that event actually is all the lights go out, we change up the path within the houses, and your group can only have one glow stick to walk through the entire house. So you have monsters popping out at you at every corner. You can't see anything just by what you can see from that glow stick. So what the cool thing is when this was going on, I went to go try and take a glow stick from a customer, and he literally grabbed my wrist and picked me up and said, "You can't take this from me." And I was like, "I'm allowed to, but I'm in the air, in the dark." And I'm just like, oh, probably the closest thing I've ever gotten to being punched. But it was funny to me. And I just, after that, I stopped trying to grab glow sticks.
Do you have any favorite characters that you've liked over the time that you've been doing this?
Two of them. One of them was my first fleshed out character from 2018. I actually named him Juan Julio because my childhood nickname is Juju. So I was like, how can I what can I name him? I'm Hispanic. Juan Julio fit perfectly. My character was a thrash, like metalhead kid in high school. Pretty basic costume, just a vest, a wolf mask, because we were possessed high school students that were at a house party that went array. So that was my character. That was the first time I actually got to make a character start to finish with a backstory. One of the best times. My second one would be my clown, and that was played during the 2021 season. His name is Rice Pits. Really just funny, quick-witted, will just berate you. So like if he were to see you, he would just roast you. Just think of, if you're on Comedy Central, that would be the roast master, would be Rice Pits. And people would get scared of him, people would laugh. The way I viewed him was like, he was very aggressive, but he also knew how to make him laugh to keep him from getting scared. So it was like, if a group was real scared over here, I could go over there, calm them down, and then they'd continue having a good time. So he's a very well-balanced out character in my eyes. Two of my favorite ones, Juan Julio and Rice Pits.
And y'all get to actually sort of flesh the characters out and come up with names and all that. So you do have some control over that, right? That's pretty awesome.
So, I mean, we do have, with this company, 13th Floor Entertainment Group, they make all the costumes. We don't have to really buy anything. If we do, it's just contacts. It's like little things for the character to be more aesthetically pleasing. But realistically, costumes are all made here. We can buy our own stuff. They do show us how to distress it and everything like that. So we can make these even better. But so some people will get these costumes and they'll just make a character name. And that's where they start to learn. They're like, okay, well, how am I going to play it out if they're in just one room? So that room actually becomes their home for the whole season. Or if they change rooms, they can take that character and try it out in different places and then start to build. So that's where it makes it interesting for us, because they're not just telling us, oh, you have to play it this way. They give us the chance to be more creative with it. So it's pretty cool what they can do here.
Now, normally you would be dressed up, getting ready to scare a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But you have a little bit of an injury, but it all ties back into what you do here at House of Torment. Can you tell us about what happened?
So with this injury, and I'll tell you real quick, funny little thing. Like I said, my childhood nickname was Juju, right? when I first started here back in 2016, I got the nickname Blue, which the reason being is we have a code, which is code blue for an injury. Paramedics come into that area and get you out and assess you. So that's where that nickname came from. Well, 2021, I was an outside performer. We had just opened up for the night. We were probably like an hour in. I had chugged down a Rain energy drink real quick. So I was just hitting everywhere. I was running around, going crazy on customers, having a great time. And I finally got thirsty. So I was like, okay, time to get some water, take a break real quick, cool down, go back outside, enjoy the rest of the night. Walking back in, I hear a group of customers that are waiting in line for the first house. And I literally hear them say, oh, that clown looks crazy. So I stop, turn, and I get into like a position as if I was going to run at them. Just as I'm about to take off, it just feels like someone swings a whole bat into the back of my ankle. Craziest feeling ever. And I didn't even scare the group as the character. I think they got more scared of me just dropping character and screaming, who hit me? Like legitimately looking around in just complete confusion saying, who hit me? And they were like, nobody was here, man. Nobody. And I was, after that, told the ticket scanner, like, call it code blue and where I was going to be going. And the rest was history from there.
So what did it actually end up being?
It's a ruptured Achilles tendon.
Wow. So that had to be very painful.
It was painful after the adrenaline stopped, because when it first happened, I was like, oh, it just feels like a sprain. But once I started calming down is when it really set in, and I couldn't even move my foot after like 20 minutes. So it was pretty bad.
What would you say to anybody out there who hasn't been to any of your events yet? And this being the 20th year, what would you tell them?
To be honest, I would definitely check it out. If you guys have the chance this weekend to check it out, do it. Love Bites is one of the coolest off-season events that we do have. Of course, it's Valentine's Day themed. So bring your date, bring your loved one, bring your family, bring your friends. Heck, bring your dog if you want to. But especially look at what they're going to be doing here and think about what they're going to be doing this coming season. Because last year was crazy. We had a whole new team, a whole new setup, a whole new vibe. And before I got hurt, like, things were just solid. The show was solid every night. We were getting good reviews and reactions from customers. So I'm really excited to see what the show is tonight and what they're going to be bringing this coming season for 2022. So if you haven't been here, definitely check it out. It's worth it. It's great. We have all kinds of amenities here for you guys.
You can find information on House of Torment's upcoming events on their website at houseoftorment.com. Hey everyone, I wanted to introduce you to the photographer that shoots all of our interviews here at the Marino Show. It's Ever Calderon. And Ever, I want to say I appreciate all the work that you've been doing with the show over the past several months. Talk a little about what you do. You have your own kind of production company that you've started. So what do you want to say to the viewers out there about what you do?
I want to say welcome everybody. I'm Ever Calderon. I also have Kaphet Yotto, and Kaphet Yotto is a production company that started off with David and public television, and I'm working on growing more shows that I can put out. And the more that I work on myself, the better the Marino Show gets, post-production wise. And all the hosting is done by David, but he's only getting better and better.
And really, you and I started together in Yoto when I was there as a communications director, and you were working sort of as a communications volunteer at that time and shooting videos. But some of the other things that you do outside of just shooting videos for this show, you do podcasts, you've shot anything from different, musicians. Can you talk about some of the work that you've done so far? Yeah,
so I was interning at the city, and then I got into podcasts, and then the podcast led to a church live stream, and that developed my live stream. Now I live stream for DJs, nonprofits, and a lot of events around Austin.
What do you want to do in the future? How would you like to see your production company grow?
Really, I'd like to see my stuff all over the world. So when I live stream here in Austin, I want it to be over there in Japan or something like that, where people can see it and they're like, oh, I know that's Austin, Texas. Just from the work I do.
So what got you interested in sort of that kind of behind the scenes work and more of the technical aspect of things? Because you are dealing with sound, you're dealing with shooting video, and all that stuff is really important, obviously, in the podcast world now that we're in. in the YouTube world, you know, anything that's social media. So what sparked your interest in getting involved in that?
So when I was younger, I had like an MP3 player, and we bought it from the store, and it was like a real cheap $20 one. And I wanted to use it like that night. My parents didn't want to like turn it on the computer and like figure out how to work it because they weren't tech savvy. So I had messed around with it and I figured out how to use it. And then the video game systems came out and I learned how to use those and set them up. And so that got me into like working with like files on the computer and like, okay, this is how you set things up and this is how you like mess around with it to get it working. And I guess when I was little, I was like, you know what, I can do whatever I want to these and like it doesn't matter if I break it. So I guess that's why I was encouraged to like explore things. So I did that, and then when I was around 2021, a friend had asked me if I wanted to be in a short film. I was like, yeah, like I mean, I'm doing nothing better, so like might as well do it. And that short film is where I learned like I acted a little bit. I didn't really learn how to act. So I learned video editing through Adobe Premiere Pro, a bunch of YouTube tutorials. I learned Photoshop as well, again through YouTube tutorials. And then, so I learned those skills, and that was the only video we did. So I had learned that, and I had wanted to learn website development, so I learned how to code myself, because I figured if I know how to code, I can get a coding job. And I got so far, and the passion didn't stay, but I learned a little bit. And the pandemic happened. And so I was like, oh, people need videos now, like, might as well do that. So I started doing short promotional videos during the pandemic. And I was like, you know what, I got a camera, I need a mic, I need another camera, I need a tripod. And so it kind of snowballed into like what
started
I am
evolving.
Now. Yeah.
And you've taught yourself a lot of the camera work and even podcasting. A lot of that you've kind of done on your own, right? Yeah. Which is amazing to me because you and I both know I'm not a technical person, so I always appreciate your expertise in that area. What do you see, you know, yourself wanting to get more acclimated to in the future in terms of technology? Is there something that you're looking at that you'd like to get better at that you kind of see as the future?
Oh man, I mean,
because there's so much coming out all the time when it comes to technology and just the world that we're in now. I mean, anybody can be a content creator now, and it's important to have people like you that can help that process along.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing would be like growing a community. Like aside from all the technology we have, is like I could have a million cameras, I could have a million microphones, but I can. It doesn't work when I don't have anybody in front of the camera. So I'm nothing without the Marino Show. You know, that I wouldn't be me, I wouldn't have anything to do. So it's like growing that community is like the biggest thing that I'm focusing on right now, especially with the Kaphet Yotto, because when people have ideas, I can bring them to life, and we all just work and help each other.
Well, Ever, tell me about Kaphet Yotto, your production company you mentioned earlier. If people are interested in wanting your services, what kind of services do you provide to people out there?
So it started off as like short videos, like I could edit something with like your logo in the corner, do some coloring on it. So my base is like video editing. Along with that comes video production, where I bring all my equipment and I set up for you. I make sure your audio sounds good, I make sure you look good on camera, and then I edit your stuff at the end. So you do all the pretty work and I do all the hard work. I do that for people, which is what most people like.
Yeah.
I also live stream for people, so if you have an event and you want to live stream it, I can make it sound good, I can make it look good, and I can have different angles. Recently what I'm doing is consultations, so people have questions about live streaming or their setups, and I go in there and I walk them through it and we make sure it looks good.
Well, I know some of the things that I've really enjoyed shooting with you have been like the horror type stuff. Like this episode was House of Torment. We've done some other things, but in the future, it would be cool to kind of work on more of those types of interviews, right? I know that that's some of the things that we've kind of talked about, going down that horror movie, like directors, or even going, one of the things that I want to do, which you and I have talked about, is going out to the old gas station from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and doing an interview with them. So there's a number of things that we are working on that we have in mind. So I know that's something that you've also thought of. What kind of other things would you like to see?
I know you had mentioned us talking about movies or getting into that kind of like reviewer space, and there's a Chainsaw Massacre, the original, and then they just came out with the new one. And then there's the Evil Dead original, and they came out with the new one in like 2013, which is like almost 8-9 years ago already.
And there's so many films that are shot in Austin, especially like all types, but I love scary movies, things like that.
The show went from Coffee Break with Candace to Coffee Break with Candace and David, and now it's the Marino Show. How do you feel now that it's your name on the show, and where do you see yourself with the show in 5 years?
I just want to continue to grow it, and you know, with your help, of course, growing like the subscribers on YouTube, our social media reach. But really, I want to work on just becoming like better at hosting and making the show evolve and having different types of segments. Because right now, you know, a lot of what we do, it's a full interview and it's usually like 28 minutes, and that's cool. But I also think it would be nice to start incorporating other segments into the show, like even having like a musical guest every now and then, or just showcasing other artists in the community, creatives, and using that show or this show as a space for that. So, you know, moving forward with so many people moving here and a lot of creatives in our community, I think it would be a great show to showcase those people, and not necessarily always the established people, but I kind of find just like this show is like a small show that's growing. I think it's important to interview the people who are getting started and just trying to make it and make a name for themselves, because I think everybody needs a platform of some kind, and you never know whether you have a large audience or a small audience. You might get the right person to see that and they'll tap into you. Like, you never know where people are going to see this or they're going to see you. So that's sort of my goal, is to use it as a platform to promote, you know, up and comers. And also, like I said, the whole scary movie stuff, the kind of horror movie side of things, like that's something I really want to tap into for the show.
Did you see yourself doing this 2 years ago?
No, I was really nervous because I think, you know, my background, I was in news for 16 years. So I reported, I was a news reporter, ended up in news management, and then I went into city government, and now I work for government still. But I was afraid to do anything that was like me, because like in news, it was news. I was working for a station, so you're covering murders, you're covering court cases, you're covering things that are not always the most positive. And so the idea of kind of having to be myself and like a personality and kind of moving out behind that sort of comfort of just being the reporter was not something I thought I would do. So this is all kind of new for me, and trying to be like myself and just be me on camera instead of being that like news reporter and hiding behind that. So that's what this has been for me. It's been a whole new experience.
We'll see you next time on The Marino Show.